You are sitting with a problem that has been sitting with you for 3 days now. Maybe it's financial. Maybe it's something at work or something at home, or something happening inside you that doesn't have a clean name yet, and you have turned it over and over in your mind alone. At 11 p.m. at 2 a.m. in the car, in the shower, you have Googled it. You have made a list. You have drafted 3 different plans and discarded 2 of them. And the whole time, there is someone in your life who could probably help, who has offered before even, who would pick up on the first ring. You haven't called. Not because you forgot, not because you don't trust them, because something in you, something quiet that had been there a long time, says handle it yourself, figure it out. Don't make it their problem. You're fine. You'll be fine. You will not make the call. This is not a small thing. This runs through everything. You research the answer before you ask the question. You stay an hour later, rather than ask a colleague to cover. You teach yourself things from YouTube at midnight, rather than admit you don't know. How you take on the extra weight without being asked, and never mention it's heavy. Because mentioning it feels like complaining. And complaining feels like weakness. And weakness is the one thing you have never let yourself be. When someone offers to help, something in you tightens. You smile. You say I'm okay. Really, I've got it. And you mean it. Or you perform meaning it so convincingly that by the time they believe you, you've almost convinced yourself. You watch other women ask for things and feel something complicated. Admiration maybe. And underneath it something that looks like confusion. How do they do that? How do they just say it? How do they put the need out into the air and wait to see if someone will meet it? You don't know how to do that. You are not sure you ever did. The exhaustion is real, but even the exhaustion you manage alone. You'd be surprised how many women are sitting with this right now, turning the same problem over in the same silence. What you're experiencing has a name. Psychologists call it compulsive self-reliance, and it is distinct from simply being capable or independent. Independence is a choice you make from a place of security. Compulsive self-reliance is a need you can't turn off, even when you want to, even when it's costing you, even when help is standing right in front of you, with its hand out. John Bowlby, whose work on attachment shaped much of modern psychology, wrote about this pattern in people who learned early that their needs were unlikely to be met. The nervous system, he found, doesn't keep asking for what it has learned. It cannot have. It adapts. It becomes self-contained. It gets very, very good at not needing, and then mistakes that skill for strength. A 2008 study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people consistently underestimate how willing others are to help by nearly 50%. We walk around genuinely believing the ask is more of a burden than it is. But even knowing that doesn't change the feeling. Because the barrier isn't information. It's something older than information. Think back to the first time you needed something, and the asking didn't go the way it should have. Maybe you were very young. Maybe the adults around you were stretched thin working, struggling managing their own weight, and your need landed in a room that had no space for it. Maybe it was dismissed. Maybe it made someone frustrated. Maybe it was met with a response that made you feel quietly that having needs was an imposition, that too much was too much. You were a child. You needed connection the way you needed oxygen. And your brain, brilliant and adaptive, did what it was built to do. It recalibrated. If asking leads to disappointment, it reasoned, then stop asking. If needing makes you a burden, then stop needing. Become the kind of person no one has to worry about. And so you did. You became that person. Competent. Capable. The one who holds it together. The one people lean on, never the one who leans. Over time, it stopped feeling like a choice. You stopped noticing the moment you would have asked and didn't. Ignoring what you needed just became normal. You stopped noticing you were doing it. It just became who you were. But here is what that child could not have known. Survival was always meant to be a bridge, not a permanent address. Here is what I want to be honest with you about. The self-sufficiency is real. The capability is real. But there is a cost, and it is also real. And it does not get smaller the longer you carry it alone. The cost is the loneliness of always being the strong one. The cost is the invisible ledger. All the times you showed up for others, gave without asking, held without being held. And the slow, quiet ache of wondering if anyone would show up for you if you let them. And the slow, quiet ache of wondering if anyone would show up for you if you let them. Really let them. The cost is that you have never found out. Because you have never let yourself be seen, needing something. And that is its own kind of loss. The woman who never asks for help is not cold. She is not proud in the way people mean it as an insult. She is someone who learned under real conditions that she was the most reliable person available to herself. She built something extraordinary from that lesson. That competence was real, that resilience was real. A capacity to function under pressure that most people will never develop. That is not nothing, that is not a flaw. That is what survival looks like when it becomes a personality. But survival was always meant to be a bridge, not a permanent address. The asking is not weakness. Asking for help takes the same strength. It just looks different, harder. In many ways, than anything the self-sufficiency ever asked of you. Because this time you cannot control the outcome. You have to put the need out into the air and wait. You have to trust that someone will meet it. You have to be willing to be seen. The woman who learned to need. No one is allowed to need someone. Now. Drop an 8 if you needed to hear that. And if you know a woman who carries everything alone, send this to her. She probably won't ask you to. What is the earliest memory you have of deciding? Not out loud, not consciously, but deciding that you would handle it yourself. How old were you? What happened when you asked? Or what made you stop asking? Leave it in the comments. You don't have to explain all of it, even just the age, even just a single word. If this stayed with you, our next video is close to this one. The psychology of women who always feel guilty. For a lot of women who never ask for help, guilt is the enforcer that keeps them from starting. Watch it next. Follow for more Women's Psychology Simplified.